what conversations have the Senate Republicans had, and just looking into the crystal ball, do you expect a lot of green lights from the GOP side?
Well, historically, we on the Republican side have been opposed to raising the cigarette tax. He wants to raise it, I think, by $1 a pack, which is going to kill our border towns in particular, where people are already going to Indiana, Missouri, Kentucky to get these cigarettes cheaper. So I think it's bad policy on that regard. I don't think you'll see a lot of Republican yes votes on that bill.
When I asked about the specifics of the tax, he wants to attach the money, make it for the capital program, sort of replace the video poker, tweak the liquor tax. Does that, identifying where the money is going to go, I'm saying it's going to go for roads, bridges, schools, make it any more palatable? Does it make it any more politically possible for Republicans to vote for that tax, and for anybody to vote for an income tax and now vote for another tax just a couple of months later?
Obviously, that bill passed. It had bipartisan support. There's a strong desire to go forward with the capital construction bill because there are a lot of good projects in it. Little bit premature, I think, at this point to say that we automatically have to start replacing parts of it. The appellate court has acted. The Supreme Court put a stay on that. Everything is moving forward as it was before. We're still taking in revenue from the other revenue streams in that capital bill, even though we're not getting video poker money yet. So there's really no reason why we can't continue to move forward on projects. We've already borrowed about $4 billion to go forward with those projects. That should be plenty of money to get us through this construction season without rushing through a fix that we don't even know is necessary yet.
How palatable do you think it is going to be for any Republican to, after you had the opposition to the income tax, vote for, even though a cigarette tax is probably one of the more palatable taxes, at least according to polls?
Yeah, I certainly understand that, but you're right. I mean, I think people feel in this state like they're being taxed to death, and this is just one more time where we're hearing about more revenue. That's all you ever hear seemingly coming out of the leadership in Springfield is, where are we going to get more tax money out of people? Time to start talking about cutting spending. And we don't need to have as our first instinct to reach deeper into the pockets of the people in this state.
Is this sort of the blueprint for going forward, that the Democrats will propose their ideas and Republicans can get on board if they like? What does this say about as we move through May into a budget? Because the House seems to be on a different page, the Senate seems to be on a different page. Republicans seem to be on the third page.
Yeah.
Are we headed for just what we've seen the past couple of years, or could this grand bargain that had always been rumored still come about?
Well, hopefully, it's always best if we can all come together and compromise and do things in the best interest of the people of the state. But it's interesting that as we sit here right now, the day before this supposed vote, we on the Republican side of the aisle haven't even seen a bill. So we're going to be asked to vote on a bill that has billions of dollars of implications, and none of us has seen it. So, if we're going to be part of solutions, we need to be involved on the front end.
What expectation would you have? Have you had any conversations with anybody in the House? The House and Senate don't seem to be communicating a lot this session.
Well, there are differences so far on say, revenue projections. I mean, the first thing you want to do when you're setting a budget is decide how much money do we anticipate that we're actually going to have. And the House and the Senate Democrats are about $1 billion apart on how much money they expect to have. So in that respect, hopefully that can be navigated and we can reach a reasonable estimate of what it is, an agreed estimate of what it is we're going to be able to spend, have to spend money on. Hopefully things will come together. It's still March. That budget won't be finalized probably till the end of May, as is the custom. So there's still plenty of time to get this done. We've got to get people on the same page, though.
Last week, the Republicans promised their menu of cuts. Is that going to come sometime this week? Is that going to come on the same day as the vote for the cigarette tax, or are we going to have to wait till Wednesday? Thursday or Friday when the NCAA tournament is?
Well, I think we have reserved time in the Blue Room for this week. We believe that it's extremely important. We, the Senate Republicans, believe it's extremely important that people understand that even after this tax increase passed, if the Democrats spend to the level of the spending caps over the next 3 years, we will actually have a bigger deficit 5 years after we paid all these taxes than we had before. The only way to avoid that result is by making some spending cuts now. And if we do, we have the opportunity to pay our backlog of bills in a relatively short period of time without borrowing. We have an opportunity to stair-step that tax increase back down and actually be in a position of having a small surplus 5 years out rather than a bigger deficit than we had before the tax increase passed. Little bit of pain on the front end for a whole lot of gain on the back end to getting Illinois back on the right path.